Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today we want to do another Invicta review. This is a watch that I have reviewed in the past, and it's a watch that I just don't think a lot of people really remember about. You know, Invicta, they just keep coming up with new and unique designs like every other week. So it's really hard to keep up. And a lot of times these great Invicta watches kind of get put aside and then we forget about them. And this is a watch that I honestly, if I don't actively look into my safe and find out exactly what I have, I kind of forget about these great pieces. So today I'm going to be talking about one called the Thunderbolt. And this is the watch right here. So this is the killer watch. I remember when this watch first came out, it was really unique to Invicta. It was kind of a watch that kind of started them using a lot of the cabling. Now they're doing the different style chains, the Cubans, the Franco chains. They're integrating that a lot into the bezel. So I kind of feel like this is a watch that really was the start of them really pushing the boundaries in adding these kinds of large cables and chains. Now, I know some of you will say, oh, well, you know, the Bolt Zeus. The Bolt Zeus was the first watch, to the best of my knowledge, that Invicta used that cabling system or that braided cable. But with this one, they really went above and beyond by using a huge cable. So this is a killer watch. It's so fun for me to come back and re-review this stuff because, like I said, I forget about it. So I kind of call this the flying saucer or donut style case. You can see it's really round and it does kind of look like a kind of a donut, right? Like a ring. Incredible watch, and you really can't go wrong with the flashiness of gold and silver. Exhibition window on this. Some of the Invictas have exhibition windows, others do not. Some folks I've heard over the years, and not really the Invicta collectors, but mainly just, you know, people who watch enthusiasts will always say, oh, why do you put an exhibition window on the back of a Quartz watch? Well, what's the difference, you know? I think it's pretty cool. You at least get to see what's going on in there, and I think windows are kind of cool. You can still see the battery. You know, what I think would be really useful is if I get asked a lot of times of people, hey, what kind of battery do I need? It's kind of a pain when you have to replace the batteries in, I mean, Invicta collectors are over the top. It's not like we have one watch and we wear it and maybe we have a second watch. With Invicta, it's like we have hundreds of watches, you know, it's an obsession. And so, you know, the batteries do die. And unfortunately, I hate having to crack the back off it. I wish Invicta would just turn around and maybe list on the back of the battery with the exhibition windows the battery number, something really easy to see. I also like when Invicta does something decorative in there. It is cool that at least they have that yellow Ronda movement on there or inside there and you get to see it. I think it's pretty cool, but I love how they do the decorations like a Sub-Aquanoma 5. Some of those had that furnace blue lattice work. The Sea Hunter, the propellers, pretty cool, known for their furnace blue on those decorations. The Thunderbolt would have been pretty cool to have some kind of bolt or something like that, but nonetheless, still an incredible watch. This is definitely the one I'm going to be wearing today. I love what I call these kind of king and queen, kind of like crown looking. Looks like something you almost see like in a chess set. Very sharp, very dramatic crown and function pushers. And for those of you who don't know, this is a chronograph. I get asked a question a lot too. One guy the other day was like, what kind of battery do I need? My watch is just eating batteries. Remember, the Invicta watch, they use the Ronda movement, which is most of them. The chronograph is a stopwatch, if you didn't know that. And so your large second hand isn't supposed to be moving. So just like, now this battery's probably dead, but just like, you know, this watch where that second hand is stationary, that second hand should only move when you're activating the chronograph and you're using the chronograph. And to do that, you basically, if we had live juice here, I would just basically unscrew the top function pusher and the lower function pusher. Got this one a little tight. And basically you would press that. The chronograph would start and you'd start timing something or using it as a stopwatch. Once you're done, you'd pause it, hit the second button, that would reset to the 12 o'clock position, and then it's ready to be used again. And then of course you always want to screw down your crown and function pushers if your watch has screw down crown and function pushers, just to prevent any water from getting in there. There's an element of water and dust resistance even with the crown and function pushers pulled out. I always store my watches in the number 2 position, and this I did not. That's why the battery is dead. And what you would normally have here is a perpetual seconds hand. And that's how most of these watches by Invicta operate. So don't have your chronograph moving. I know it's kind of odd. I wish they would I don't, you know, it's just the way the movements are made. I wish they would actually have perpetual seconds use the large second hand. That's more standard on watches. I'm not sure why Ronda does it that way, but you know, it is what it is. It's not like a big deal, but it would make more sense to me. My Bulova watch is a perfect example of a chronograph that uses the main function, the main second hand, as a second hand, like to tell time. And then when you activate the chronograph, it actually goes to the 12 o'clock position. You start the chronograph, you use it. Not that I ever use it. And then when you reset it, it keeps track of the time, of course, and it brings the second hand back to where it normally would have been had you not activated the chronograph. So Bulova is pretty cool in their movements, but nonetheless, it's still pretty cool. This is a great watch. You have, you know, your perpetual seconds. You have your day of the month. Unidirectional rotating bezel. I always like to turn these. When we look at bezel play on watches, this is nice and tight. I don't mean tight like, ooh, it's hard to turn. It's exactly what you'd expect from any Rolex watch on Earth. Guys have said over the years, oh, turn the bezel on one of those Invictas, then turn it on a Rolex, and you'll really see the difference. Absolute nonsense. Fantastic. All the machining and the tolerances in these watches, it's unbelievable you can get this for the price point. Now, as far as model number here, because this is a repeat video, I'm going to go in here and look at the model number here and see what the availability is on these. Let's see here. 21359. So while I got you guys here, 21359, let's see what is available. Because to be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of these Thunderbolts lately. So while we get a little bit of specifics on the watch here directly from Invicta, you do have 500 meters of water resistance. Let me go ahead and let me just put it on because I got my Pagani design on right now. Another fantastic watch. Ooh, I forgot, man. That's beautiful. Man, let me just screw down the crown. Again, you know, I know it's kind of funny. I'll wear this with, with the battery dead because it's, you know, we all have the time on our phones. And I know, you know, the traditional folks out there and the realists or whatever you want to refer to them as, you know, the time is the most important thing on Earth, you know, when it comes to, you know, the watch. You know, for me, I just, this is a fashion piece. You know, I love wearing it. I love the attention it gets. I love people asking me about it. I love doing the videos on them. You know, it's a killer piece, and working or not, it doesn't take that away from the watch. So, so 500 meters of water resistance. This watch does measure 54.5 millimeters. Now, some of you may be saying, wow, that's pretty big. I didn't know they were that big. Remember, Invicta sometimes they're a little inconsistent with the way they measure, depending on if you see it on the site or you see it on the home shopping network, right? So this one here, if we measure at the bezel, we're looking at just about 54 millimeters. Now keep in mind, your Sea Hunters are going to be 58 at the bezel. When you look at the Sea Hunter 3s, the newer generations, looking at about 73 of the crown and function pusher. This I have seen referred to as a 63 millimeter watch. And if we measure this, we're really getting about 57 millimeters if we go all the way out to the crown. But that's not really how... It should be how we measure watches, because that is the whole size of the watch. You have to take into account that extra size you get, right? It makes it look bigger. It's part of it. You know, it's like measuring. Let's not go there. Anyway, all right. So 54.5 millimeters. This is 316 stainless steel done with that 14 karat gold plating. This one here, there's not. Invicta's usually known for their contrast and finishes. This is pretty basic. You have a little bit of matte finish on the sides of the links, and then you have that brush finish in gold down the middle. No mirror polishing on this that I can see, other than a little bit on the crown and function pushers. A lot of matte brushed gold on this, and again, you have that really cool, super thick bezel done with that cabling. Really cool. I feel like this one was the gateway to a lot of the Invictas coming out now. What else we got? Swiss Quartz movement. That's, you know, it does actually say Swiss made on the watch. Remember, Swiss made, the watch doesn't have to be made in Switzerland. The movements, though, they fall under the classification to be called Swiss made. So technically, they can be called Swiss made watches. Some Rondas do have that designation, others don't. And you'll find that some of the Invicta watches with the Ronda movements, you might be saying, well, this has got Ronda too. Why is this not, you know, Swiss made? It just depends on each particular movement. I think it has something to do with the amount of Swiss made parts. a certain amount of assembly done. You know, it's kind of like it's a really kind of a game being played. You know, it doesn't mean anything on quality. Any watch coming out of China, where I'm sure a lot of this is coming from some of those other countries, they're amazing. I mean, I'm sorry, but the tooling, the process to make these nowadays, it's incredible. It's incredible. Any other specifics on this? Let me see if it's at. We have a couple different places here. And I'm going to put links to where you can find this in the description. Yeah, you're not going to find this on Invicta stores, which is generally where I will refer people because it's my favorite place to buy. Let me just go to eBay and see if we can find anything. I have a hard time believing you're going to find this watch, which kind of sucks because I'll do these reviews and people are like, where can I get it? Yeah, man, you're not even going to find it on eBay. Let me just try searching for Invicta Thunderbolt. Invicta Thunderbolt. Alright, so you have a couple on eBay. So I'm going to link to eBay as well. I'm not even going to bother with Amazon because you're probably not going to find it there. For some reason, a Shaq Sea Hunter is showing up. That shouldn't be showing up. Okay, so you have a Jason Taylor available, new other. Be careful with where you're buying and what you're buying. All black with silver. Pretty cool. As far as the gold, fellas, I'd hate to tell you, but you can get a little rose gold. Price on these, you're going to be paying about $350 and up. Ooh, it's not a bad deal. Oh, but you don't want to get poly. Don't get the poly strap or the rubber strap. You want to stay bracelet. So here's one, yellow gold with green accents. Pretty hot too, 400 bucks. And this is exactly what I've mentioned in other videos. When you have people saying, oh, Invicta watches don't hold their value, Invicta watches don't, you know, they don't appreciate. I paid about $280 for this. And so, you know, if I threw this on eBay, I'd be able to sell it for more. So remember, supply and demand determines what you can get for anything. If people want it, they're going to pay for it. And Invicta collectors are, you know, fanatical. We love our Invictas, and a lot of times, I'm guilty of it as well. I'll see a watch, and I'm like, I'll put it off, I'll wait too long, and then when I'm ready to buy it, it's gone or it's way super expensive. What I like to consider one of my grail pieces is a Grand Octane with the black spinel bezel. I had a couple opportunities, you know, it was just a little more than I wanted to spend. Now forget it, you can't find it. So, no, I didn't mention this video. I pride myself on this channel in showing you what the watch looks like on the wrist. It's a really great way to see what it's going to look like on you. It was very helpful when I bought because it's like you can look at the size and now we have a lot more, Invicta has a lot more presence on the web and on TV, but it's helpful to see it on the wrist. This was something that when I got my first Venom watch, I was like, gosh, I couldn't fathom the size and actually seeing that on a person compared to like my other watches where 47 was, I mean, huge for something that I had back then. It's very difficult to like get an idea what it looks like. So I'm about 5'7.5". I weigh about 175 pounds. And so this is what it looks like on a guy with a 7-inch wrist based on my size. Everybody's different, you know, body fat content, muscle. So everybody's got to look a little bit differently with these. But I'll tell you folks, I've had guys, I mean, it happens all the time. You know, if you are in the market for a watch and you're like, man, I really like the Invicta, but I'm not a big dude. You don't have to be a big bodybuilder. You don't have to be a big, huge guy. There are no rules when it comes to wearing what you like and collecting things. You know, it's all about you. It's all about what you want to buy. And remember, anybody who tells you, if you hang around people who like judge you for what you're wearing or will give you shit about what you like, they're not worth being around, you know? There's no reason anybody should have anything to say about anything, you know? And that goes for you guys too. Just because a guy likes a small, you know, Rolex style watch or maybe wants to spend a whole bunch of money on a watch that we think is just ridiculous, doesn't mean it doesn't make them happy. Remember, be respectful to one another. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about collecting cool watches. And whether you like a watch or not, like my dad would never wear this, but he also wouldn't turn around and be like, wow, that's ridiculous, that's clownish, you know? They're big watches. They're meant to be noticed. They're meant to be flashy, you know? If you're a guy who wants to jack your truck up, you know, 8, 9, 12 inches and put gigantic tires on it, you're a guy who likes big, bold, noticeable things. And this is a brand this might be a brand for you. Again, maybe not, but it's you know, my point is always buy what you like, always buy what makes you happy. And you know, if I can help you in any way make a purchase, let me know. Drop me a comment, drop me an email. These are incredible watches, and like I said, even though the battery is dead in this one here, these Invictas they stand the test of time. You know, they really do. And you know, I mean, I never recommend buying a watch for resale value. I don't consider watches an investment. I remember a lot of these dudes and they're like, oh, it's an investment piece. It's only an investment piece if you buy it and you leave it in the plastic, in the packaging, in the box, and you put it away and you hold on to it and you see what the market's going to do. I don't buy things for that. I buy things for instant gratification, what makes me happy, things that I'm going to enjoy for years to come. And, you know, everybody's different, to each their own, but just remember that, you know, when you're buying watches, these are meant to be worn, meant to be enjoyed, and I would invest your money in something other than watches. You know, I hear it all the time too. People, they're like, "Oh, if I would have just bought that, you know, back in the day." It's like, well, you probably wouldn't have sold it because you would have liked it, right? And then, you know, what are you going to hold on to something for? You know, people invest in things that really yield a big profit. You know, what are you going to buy? Like, let's say you could buy an Invicta watch. What are you going to buy one, hold on to it to make? Let's say you double your money and they average around $300. You're going to hold on to it and go through all that to make an extra $300? Like, who cares? You know, now it's different if you're going to buy something that's going to cost you like real estate, you know, 150 grand, and next thing you know, it's worth 450, 500, 600. You know, that's a different story. But remember, we also use our homes. You know, it's not like we're buying it, we leave it pristine, we don't touch it. You know, that's kind of what you have to do when you're collecting like jewelry and watches, for the purpose of reselling it later on down the road. You know, now if you buy something and you want to hold on to it and wear it and enjoy it, and you're lucky enough to have something that you can get more, and that's great too. But you know, I don't buy anything like that for that purpose. It's made to be worn and enjoyed, and to be, you know, questioned and asked about and shared. So anyway, let me know if I can help you guys in any way. Again, this is called the Invicta Thunderbolt. You'll have to backtrack to find the model number. But if you are interested in anything, always drop me a model number. Drop me what you're looking for. I'm more than happy to try to help direct any of you. It's fun collecting this stuff. I enjoy sharing it. And as always, guys, if you like the content, which I'm sure you do, subscribe to the channel. Be kind to one another, and have a good day, folks.